What is up, everybody? What is up? My gosh, Browns fans, it's about to be Snowmageddon here in a couple hours. And I figured if I'm going to do a live, let me do a live now before all the world shuts down and I can't get my opinion out right away about this Browns coaching search. First of all, thank you for tuning in. Please like, follow, and subscribe wherever you're listening to, whether it's on my podcast, whether it's on the Bearded Browns podcast, whether it's on the Land Media Group, wherever it is that you're listening to. I'm asking you to give us a follow, give us a little subscription, give us some comments, share some of the feed, share some of the lives. We here at the Land Media Group, Bearded Browns Podcast, TBF Pod, we're all one big family. And we just want to talk Browns. We also have a soccer podcast called Let's Go Crunch if you're interested in that too. We just want to make content for all those that consume content. So give us a follow, give us a like, comment. What's up, Greg? What's up, Gregory? Hit me up in the YouTube chat already. I am excited. I'm probably the only excited Browns fan on the face of this earth compared to what I've been seeing on the internet. I don't know if it's because of this weather outside and people are stressed because we're about to get piled in with snow, with winds, and people are fighting over water and food at the grocery store. But I'm here to add some calmness to your day, your life, your Browns fan. Cameron, Thomas already commented on Facebook. Who do you want? Grant or Nate? I'm going to let you know right now who I want. I'm going to tell you, not right now, but it's part of the podcast. It's part of the show today. We're going to break it down. I'm going to tell you my opinion. I can't tell you too much because I also help on Tuesdays with the guys, but I'm going to give you a take in which why I think Browns fans should just calm the heck down. Calm down, everybody. Y'all acting like y'all running into grocery stores, grabbing water and some beef. Y'all grabbing beef as if when the power goes out, you're going to be able to cook it. Y'all grabbing frozen food as if the power goes out, you're going to eat some frozen friggin' onion rings. Let's go. What's up, Nate? He said he's got some news, baby. Go Browns. What news do you have, Nathan? I'm excited. As a Browns fan, I'm excited. I love where the Browns organization is heading, and I'm probably the only one that has some hope here. Now, I know it's easy to be negative. I know it's easy to poop on the organization because history shows that they don't know what they're doing. But my gosh, dude, let's calm down a little bit. I woke up today. See, Cameron agrees with me. He said, he says, I agree with everyone's a downer. I'll be excited to see the new head coach, to be honest. Guys, you guys all wanted to get rid of Kevin. Everybody was like, fire Kevin. Let's get him out of here. But y'all forget the brain trust is still intact. Y'all wanted to get rid of the arms and the legs. But y'all forget the head was still there. You thought it was going to change. I think that's part of the problem with Browns fans. They thought, hey, Kevin's gone, so everything's going to be fine. Nope. Not at all. Not at all. Y'all are panicking as if the winter storm is going to hit you and you have no water in your house. No food at all. You guys are saying, oh my God, what is this organization going to do? Nobody wants to coach here. Doug, my guy Doug says, yes, we are worried and panic. I think Andrew should have to write an essay and an IQ test live on the podcast. I love it. Doug. I love the fact you guys are underselling this whole thing. You guys are saying, oh my God, they're giving him an IQ test and they're making him write essays. They're making him work for the job. Oh my gosh. How dare you make someone work for the job? How many times have we had guys come in, coaches, players, who didn't work for the job and took advantage, got the money and left? You guys are seeing this from the wrong perspective. The Browns are setting up a culture in which allows an organization to no longer just take anybody. They want the best somebody. They want the best somebody out there. And Browns fans are panicking. You're panicking. Oh my God, you're making them take a test and write an essay. What are we going to do? Good. I want to know who's smarter. I want to know, like, and for instance, we don't even know what the essay. This wasn't even part of my notes yet. I got some other stuff I want to get into, but let's talk about it. Let's go ahead, Browns fans. The chat controls what I talk about. This is what you want to talk about. Let's do it. You guys are mad because an organization wants a coach to write an essay and take an IQ test. An organization which is data driven, which, by the way, if you follow the Bearded Browns podcast, if you follow my personal podcast, we've been saying this from the beginning. You fire Kevin, you're going to get a younger guy in here who's analytical, who's numbers driven, and everyone didn't want to listen. You were ignoring us because you thought that we were going to get Mike McCarthy. You thought Brian Flores was coming here. Come on, guys. This is the Browns. This is the Cleveland Browns. You've been a fan your whole life, and you thought Mike McCarthy and Brian Flores is going to come here? Matter of fact, an old coach of ours, Mike Pettit, came on the show, local show here, and said this about Brian Flores. Listen up.
That's kind of why I wanted Brian Flores to be the next coach of the Browns, but obviously either he's not interested or they're not interested. I don't know. I know he has that reputation. You worked with him. You know, he was tough on the players in Miami, and I think he's been vindicated. What's your thoughts on Coach Flores?
Probably not many that I would prefer to share. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and that's why I spent this past year on offense. I was there in 24 and 25, or 23 and 24 on defense. So, I'll take the high road on that one.
Mike Pettit, who, by the way, if you go look back when Mike Pettit was here, he was building a coaching tree of coaching trees. He had Kyle Shanahan here, Mike McDaniels. He had O'Donnell here. Everybody that's coaching pretty good now was under Mike Pettit. And Mike Pettit at one point was 7-2, 7-3 before the organization said put Johnny in. So Mike Pettit probably would have worked out here if it wasn't for the brain trust and Farmer. Keith Mack says, yes, we're very worried. You Browns fans can be worried. Let me tell you something. I can't tell you how to feel. My wife's a therapist, and she always says, well, you can't tell people how to feel. You're right. I can't tell you guys not to panic, but I'm here to give you guys some peace. You guys are complaining that an organization is forcing coaches, candidates, and people who are interested in the job to take tests and essays. We don't know, by the way. What is it the essay's about? We don't know. I want to let you know. I personally have taken personality tests for jobs before. It's not uncommon. Personality test is a good tool to use to see how that person thinks, operates, and would run with people. Some people can come in and they're not people persons. Why are you going to make them a head coach? Brian Flores is a perfect example of that. Brian Flores got a head coaching job in Miami, didn't get tested. He had a good defense. They gave him the job, and he wasn't a people person. And why? Because he was treating people bad. After his first year in Miami, Ryan Fitzpatrick talked about it. After his first year, he got to his head and started treating people like crap. Now he can't get a job anywhere. Why? Because of his personality. So all you Browns fans out there wondering why the Browns are giving people personality tests is because they want to know if he works well with others. We've seen too many people come in here and not work well with others, and it messes things up. I don't care about a personality test. I don't care. What I care about overall is the wins. Are we going to win or are we going to lose? I also too side with the fact, I've said it on the Bearded Browns podcast, I want a younger guy, someone who's innovative. And I think the two out of the three they have here are young and innovative. People all over social media saying no one wants to coach the Cleveland Browns. By the way, Yudinsky came in, took a test, did his essay, got the interview, and left. He did all those things without even a blemish or a concern. Shieldhouse is going to come in here Monday, Tuesday. He is going to take the personality test. He's probably written the essay. He's going to do the questionnaires, and he's going to go through the process, and is being rumored right now by Adam Scheffler of being the front runner to get the job. What is the problem? Why don't we want the smart guy? Why do we always want the guy that spits and curses and throw things against the wall? Greg says, how long was the interview? I don't know. I wish I knew, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty long. I think it was like maybe 6, 7, 8 years. It has to be 6, 7, 8 hours long if you're doing a personality test, an essay, and you're talking about everything. Also, too, let's talk about this essay. What do you think is in the essay? Anybody have a clue? Do you think they're asking how to build a cake? Do you think they're asking, how do you put together a building? No one knows. No one knows what's in the essay questions. It can be this. Let's put a positive spin on this. I know it's hard for us Browns fans. Inside the personality, inside the essay questions, maybe they're saying, well, how about it's 4th and 2 and you're down by 3. What play do you run? Could that be an essay question? Can an essay question also be, hey, you have this defensive coordinator not getting along with your offensive coordinator. What do you do? That's an essay question. That's also a personality question. Stephen Rice, you said it perfectly. Shout out to you on Facebook. Follow Stephen Rice. He says, not at all. He's not panic. Our sports media is driving this panic 100%. And we're eating it up. Eating it up. The same people that wanted to fire Kevin, that was chanting, fire Kevin, fire Kevin, fire Kevin, are now questioning the Browns coaching search. As if they didn't know what they're going to got themselves into. Come on, man. Let's think about this logically here. I'm a logical person. I try not to get too emotional. Sometimes I do. But I try not to get too emotional. Sometimes I'm too logical that I'm not emotional. It gets me in trouble, especially with the dad of 2 girls. Sometimes I just got to be emotional with them, right? But logic tells me that we are causing something that means a stir for nothing. Am I underreacting to everyone's overreaction? Rodney says, fire Barry. Too late. He's part of the process. He's part of the hiring process. Listen, if you trusted Barry's, everyone made an argument why they wanted Andrew Barry to stay was because of the one successful draft that he had. Now, all those people that wanted him to stay because of the one successful draft that he had want him to leave because he can't pick the coach that they wanted. They wanted Brian Flores. They wanted Mike McCarthy. They wanted a big name head coach, which was never coming here. Ever. Now, you Browns fans are aware of the process in which the Browns look for a head coach. So next time we go through a head coaching search, don't expect a big name to come here. Because a big name is not going, maybe they bypass if it's a big name like John Harbaugh. Maybe they don't have him do an essay and take a personality test. Maybe they don't. But let's just say for example purposes, maybe they do. Maybe that's why John didn't want to come here, because he's like, I'm just going to go to New York and I already got the job locked up. And as far as Jesse Minter and right now Chris Shula turned down the job, Chris Shula didn't want the job, okay. I'm okay. I'm okay with someone telling my team no, as opposed to someone saying yes, signing a contract and not playing. We have an example of that, right? Right? We have a quarterback that didn't want to come here, but because we threw money at him, he signed the contract and now we're paying for it. Right? Or am I overthinking that too? Browns fans are like pounding the table saying nobody wants to come here. You have three options. The three options they wanted. Schwartz. 99% of you Browns fan thinks he should be head coach. I disagree with that. I think Schwartz is a good defensive coordinator. There's questions about that. We'll talk about that Tuesday on the Bearded Browns podcast. Even as a coordinator, there's some issues. This year was pretty good. But if you go back to 2024, there are some questions. And then we got two young guys, which I said, that's who they're going to target. Barry said the organization is going to interview the guy they want. It's going to be how they do it. It's going to be different than the Titans. It's going to be different than the Giants. And it has been. They told us. But for some reason, Browns fans don't believe them. It's great. It drives me crazy. Cameron says, honestly, Barry is just fine. He's a mastermind at moving money around. And I also think he was the first year being able to actually take full accountability of the draft instead of having deep Odessa in his ear with the analytics BS. I agree with that. But here's the deal. Here's the deal with the analytics BS. It's there. It's always going to be there. Now, is analytics going to be used more as drafting compared to what Paul DeBodessa used? We don't know yet. We'll find out this year. Barry had one good year in drafting. We should then trust his ability to run a coaching search if we trust his 1 year in drafting. Haywood says patience will win out. I need a coach that is excited about working with Shador. Go Browns. I need a coach that's just excited to work here. Shador would be a benefit. If you could fix Shador, I'm okay with that. I'm really okay with if you could fix Shador or the other quarterback that comes in. I have no problem with that. None, zero. But Browns fans should not be panicking because you heard this guy. Let's hear what this guy had to say.
Just say this. The Browns search process and interview process, which they have run a number of times, is unlike any other in the NFL. And it
Pause. Did you hear what he said? Let's play this back. Because Browns fans, they kind of stumble over the words because they hear test and they hear personality test and essay. But listen to what he said.
I would just say this. The Browns search process and interview process, which they have run a number of times.
Search process in which they have run many other times. This isn't new. This isn't new. They've run this since Paul DeBodessa has been in office. And Browns fans are like, holy crap, we stumbled upon this new thing. No, this has been in the organization for the last 8, 9, 10 years. This process. And now all of a sudden we're going to have a heart attack about it.
Is unlike any other in the NFL. And it plays to certain types of candidates. They are a data-driven operation in Cleveland.
Data-driven operation in Cleveland should not be a surprise because if you don't listen to any other podcast that hasn't said it, listen to the Bearded Browns every 7:30 on Tuesday nights and Saturdays at 10 a.m. The Browns Morning Brew even talks about it. We're analytical. We're data-driven. Should not be a surprise. This is why when he said this, I was shocked that people are surprised. They're hyperventilating over what Tom said. It's crazy to me.
And so they spend an extraordinary amount of time gathering data on their coaching candidates. You're talking about taking a personality test. You're talking about writing an essay. You're talking about completing homework assignments going into both the first and the second rounds of interviews. It plays toward the types of candidates that they have in the mix, which is very, very smart people in a lot of cases that just often happen to be tall, thin guys who came from Ivy League schools, so that's certainly not a requirement. That's the type of candidate generally that is going to fit into a data-driven environment.
Guys, that is not a surprise. If you're just now realizing that, you're not a Browns fan. I want to pull this up here. My guy, if you're breaking some news on my show, I'm going to give you credit, and I'm going to give you credit right now. He said, I bet you didn't know that the Browns interviewed Richard Sherman for the head coaching job on Thursday. My guy, can you give me some sources? Because if you're breaking the news now, I don't want to do what Mary Kay Cabot did on X the other day and say, hey, I need credit for the Minter news being broke. I want to give you credit. And I'm putting your name up there so you can get a follow. Where is your source, my guy? Don't just tell me that Richard Sherman was interviewed, because if he was interviewed, that tells me that once they interview Shieldhouse, they honor the Rooney Rule, which in turn, they can hire anybody at that point. Shout out for that little nugget if it's true. I'm not breaking it. He's breaking it. I'm just saying what he's saying. Guys, Browns fans, let's calm down. Let's relax. Everybody's worried about the Browns are Rooney Rule compliant. Oh my God. You don't know that. They don't have to announce every person they interview. Somehow the connection happens to where a reporter gets it. Like let's say if Sell here is true, and if they interviewed Richard Sherman on Thursday, no one knew that. That means they're compliant, because once they interview Shieldhouse, Rooney Rule met. Browns fans, you're allowing local media, and by the way, the national media really isn't saying much. They're like, guys, calm down. Like, the Browns have time. It's the local media be like, oh, Barry doesn't know what he's doing. Oh, fire him. Blah, 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 blah. You don't know. Let's relax. Let's relax. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to give you some relaxing pills. Nothing, no drugs, nothing addicted. It's just me, my voice. My voice. Ronnie says it's stupid. You hire coaches by their reputation, what they have accomplished. The GM should already know everything about the guys he's interviewing. Not you know everything by what people say. A test, they tell you more of a truth based upon someone's words. Like Sean McVay could be advocating for Shieldhouse, saying he's smart, he's great, he's awesome. But deep down inside, he might not be. A test will pull that out. I know it doesn't mean, if you never took a personality test, I encourage you to do it, because you realize, holy crap, that's some stuff in there I didn't realize. It works. And I know that it's opposite of what a football guy would do, but it works. And I'm pretty sure about 80% of the NFL does the same thing. The only difference is a coach let it slip to Tom Perisano. And I'm willing to bet it was Mike McDaniels. This is just my speculation. Mike McDaniels didn't take the job. He went to San Diego. Says, I'm about to be the OC. Peace out. I'm not interviewing the second time. And I'm sure he was questioned why. He probably thought to himself, he probably was just saying in passing, man, I don't feel like taking an essay and taking this personality test, being there for 8 hours just to maybe not get the job, because he probably wouldn't get the job because the two favorites are the two favorites. The two favorites are the guys that are going to take the test. Right? Udinsky went through the process. Maybe he's the favorite. Maybe he knows. Maybe the agents tell him, hey, man, you better take this if you want an opportunity to become your favorite here, to become a head coach. And that's the dream. So let's stop. Let's calm down. I mean, and then Mike McDaniels takes the OC job and then realizes, oh, Buffalo's calling me. Let me go to Buffalo. And then as he's going to Buffalo, he says, you know what? I'm backing out of this job too. And goes back to San Diego. You want a guy like that who's unsure? That's what the personality test takes out. That's what it does. Someone who's inconsistent, someone who's double-minded, someone who's unsure of themselves, who constantly changes their mind. I don't want that as a head coach. This organization wants to be in line. And in order to do that, they want to see every part of you, from personality to the way you think and to how you operate. And to having an organization that is in line as opposed to division, I'm all for. Take the test, write the essay. If you're the guy better than the other guy, then I'm down for it. Let's do this. That's just been my take on this whole thing. Ronnie says, "Do you think the Giants gave Harbaugh a test?" No, I don't know. I don't think so. And and Ronnie, you must be just joining in. I don't think the Browns would have given John Harbaugh the test, because I think he does have enough credibility to be like, well, come on in. But then again, you're talking to a guy who didn't think John Harbaugh even would have been here. People say, get John Harbaugh. John Harbaugh would have never even given you the interview because, just my take, there's other jobs out there that he would like that's more desirable. More desirable than your. I'm realistic to the point to I know the Giants job is more desirable than the Browns right now. Why? Look at the roster. If you're John Harbaugh, you're going to want to come here and fix this offense. They're maybe a quarterback away. They're 5 offensive linemen away and a receiver away for being good, average, good. And you think you're going to take that job. On top of that, you're going to call in Jim, who obviously Tony Grossi reported that wants control. Jimmy's going to advocate for Barry and then bring in Jimmy and say, yeah, they're going to split control, even though I advocate for Andrew Barry to being the guy to do the GM search and do all the GM duties. No, Jimmy wasn't going to do that. KP says it perfectly. Look up previous hires. The Cleveland went off reputation, word of mouth. If they were giving any type of personality test, they might not have been hired. I mean, we had Chud, Kitchens, and Hugh Jackson, all questionable hires. That's facts, KP. You're spitting facts. Jimmy Haslam's on record saying that he wanted Hugh Jackson because he heard that he can fix a quarterback and run an offense. Didn't work out well. John Dorsey, off word, said Freddie Kitchens is the guy. No personality test needed. Failed. Come on. Come on. The personality test is not a game breaker for me. It's not. And it's not saying, they also didn't say, based upon the personality test, we're going to hire the person. They just give them a test. They may want to know who that person is and how they operate so they can communicate to that person the way they know how to listen. Personality tests do that also. I am a hands-on learner. If you tell me how to do something, it's going one ear and out the other. If you show me and let me do it as you showing me how to do it, I'm going to get it a lot quicker. Personality test shows you that. Ricardo says, I don't think John Harbaugh is really that great of a choice anyways. I think there was too much hype on him. Really look at his record. Ricardo, you've been saying the same thing I've been saying. 100%. John Harbaugh couldn't win with Lamar Jackson. And typically, retread head coaches who want power don't work out. I'm not saying the Browns are doing things perfectly. I'm not saying the Browns are doing things right. What I'm saying is just because it's a little different, don't think it's going to fail. Personality tests and essays are typical things that happen in big corporate jobs. They're just applying it to their team. And I'm willing to bet if you can get somebody who's worked in a bank or worked in the Secret Service or something where high business people work at, I can't even think of one right now. They were given a personality test and they were given homework. I think we're making bigger what this thing is. I really do. And at the end of the day, when they hire Shieldhouse or Ujinsky, none of this matters. None of it matters. On to other news. Love you guys. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the shares. You guys are rocking it. Appreciate it. Pittsburgh hires Mike McCarthy as their head coach. Pittsburgh hires Mike McCarthy. A lot of Browns fans wanted him here outside of one win Super Bowl window happening. Didn't do much. Won a couple games, 500 in the playoffs. Never was big in the playoff guy. We'll see what he does there. Will Howard possibly? Will Aaron Rodgers stay? I know Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers had a little tiff, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Baltimore gets Jesse Minter, which, by the way, had Baltimore ties in the beginning, then went to Michigan to work with John, follows John to San Diego, and then goes back to Baltimore where he started. So that whole job made sense. Jesse Minter was pegged to go to Baltimore from the beginning, and when he turned down the Browns job or the interview, I knew right away. I'm like, well, he's taking a Baltimore job. And people again hit the panic button. See, no one wants to work here. 5 minutes later, what happens? He's taking a Baltimore job as a head coach. He's not going to do a second interview here, knowing the process when he already got an offer a job in Baltimore where he probably wanted to go. And I can't hate that. Good news is the Cincinnati still has Zach Taylor. It's good news, right? Zach Taylor trying to figure out what offense to run there, how he's going to run, how I don't think it's much Zach Taylor as much as the organization, but we'll see. We'll see how that works out. And the Browns to be determined. To be determined, right? It's going to be Shieldhouse. Is it going to be Udinski? Could it be even Schwartz? Is an argument that you keep Schwartz as head? I wouldn't be mad at listen, I'm all for a young guy. I like Udinski and Shieldhouse, but I can make an argument why you keep Jim. Now, do I want it? No. I don't want it, but will I be upset? No, because you're keeping the culture. The defense likes something good. But the last time you did that, last time you promoted a guy because a player liked him, Freddie Kitchens, didn't work out. Baker Mayfield loved him. So let's promote him. Didn't work out. So that's my pause. Like, if I would be like, just because Miles and the defense wants him, of course he does. I mean, he makes them, he schemes up good things to make them great. We'll see. I'm excited to see what's going to happen this next week or so. But the reports, the essays, guys, let's just calm down. But let's look into Shieldhouse, right? There's a report that came out, I think, by Adam Scheffler today that Shieldhouse is now one of the, maybe he said one of the favorites, or did he say the favorite? Either way, I like Shieldhouse. I think he is a good offensive mind, and I would not mind him being here as my head coach for this reason and one reason only. Well, multiple reasons. McVay is the top reason, right? And that's why I like, there was rumors of Chris Shula being interviewed. Chris Shula also turned the job down. Respectfully, why would you want Chris Shula here why would you want Chris Shula here if you're a Schwartz guy? Because Chris Shula would come in, be the head coach, and he would take over the defense and change the defense. He's a hybrid defense guy. He runs multiple fronts. He's totally different. He is smart. He's next level. He's everything the Browns wanted in a hire as head coach. That's why Shieldhouse makes sense too. Shieldhouse in his second season serving as a Rams pass game coordinator after spending 2024 as the offensive assistant passing game specialist. He's 35 years old. He's inexperienced at the NFL level, but his resume is highly, highly impressive. Used to be a standout quarterback in Illinois. If you're a Big Ten guy, you know that name getting a little familiar to me. When I looked it up, I said, Big Ten quarterback. He's a quarterback. And one thing I like about Shieldhouse is he's a quarterback. He knows how to communicate to quarterbacks. And that's what the Browns said. They want a guy with a high IQ who can talk, who communicates, who talks well, who's eloquent, who's very etiquette, very educational here. That's who they want. And Shieldhouse seems to fit the mold. I mean, he threw for a school record of total offensive yards, 10,634 yards. After his playing career, he worked his way up through the college ranks. He stayed in Illinois for a little bit. I think he was a running backs coach. And then after that, he spent 6 years in Iowa State. For those that don't know who Iowa State is, I encourage you to look it up because Matt Campbell did amazing things there. Matt Campbell then gets hired this past year to be the Penn State coach, Big Ten guy. But Shieldhouse does impressive work there. And then in 2024, he gets connected with Sean McVay. Sean McVay is very interesting. McVay speaks highly of him, praises his leadership, his character, and the ability to connect different types of people. Listen to what he says here. McVay speaks highly of Shieldhouse, praising his leadership, character, and ability to connect with different types of people, saying that he has a great capacity for the game. Go back and listen to Andrew Bear's press conference. That is everything they want in a coach. Everything. Somebody who is a leader, who has high character, and able to connect different types of people. Leader. Makes sense why they want him. Now let's add it the game to the fact, right? The results speak for themselves in 2025. This year, Matt Stafford, arguably having an MVP season at 37, led the league with 4,700 yards and 46 passing touchdowns. Can you imagine? Hey, Sam, what's up? Sam helps run the Land Media Group's podcast called the Browns Morning Brew. And he says McCarthy reunited with Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh so he can kick our beep in the division and win a Super Bowl. Shaking my head. Sam, that is an extreme take, my guy. He couldn't even do it with Tomlin. What makes you think he's going to do it with McCarthy? On top of that, Pittsburgh don't have any offensive power. Also, too, I think the reason why McCarthy left was because of Aaron Rodgers, but I could be wrong. What I've heard, Grant Udisky would be head coach. Nate is going to be the OC. Nate, KP, you said that, and I heard that too. Actually, my guy, I was going to call him Nate. Crap. Name Chad. Chad put that in our text thread today. He said, well, this could happen, and I agree that can happen. I wouldn't. What can you remind Grant as a head coach? Shieldhouse it'll be a promotion for him. He'll be the OC, and he runs the offense. And I think that makes sense, KP, because the reason why I think that makes sense is because I don't think they want their head coach to run plays, to call plays. I said that last Tuesday when the Jacksonville Jimbo from the Men and Till podcast came on. I said, I don't think they want a guy to call plays. I don't think they wanted Kevin to call plays. I think that's why they were pushing him to Ken Dorsey to call plays or have his offensive coordinator call plays. So I think they want a guy to oversee everything and then have everyone do their job from OC, DC. Basically, you get what I'm saying. So I know Chad has big worry about Grant Udinski running an offense. I don't think he's going to run an offense. I think he's going to run the whole operation. Now, the personality test and essays will determine if Grant can do that. And the personality test and the essays will determine if Shieldhouse can do that. That's why you give them tests and make them write essays to see what they can handle, to see if they're mature enough to run a team. But yet Browns fans are going, oh, I'm very cavemanish. This is unrealistic. This is unorthodox. Welcome to the new NFL. Back to Shieldhouse. League leading, the Rams had NFL top passing attack averaging 268 yards. We didn't even average that as a whole on offense this year. 268 yards on passing. The Rams average per game. I think we averaged like 216. You know what? Let me be factual here. Let me not spread false propaganda. That is insane. That is insane. What was Brown's average offensive yards 2025. Okay, 262. They averaged 262 yards per game, whole offense, and the Rams averaged 268. Passing. Passing yards, they averaged 268 as a whole offense. The Browns did 262. The Browns on offense as a whole had 26 touchdowns. Matthew Stafford threw for 46. That's appealing to me. I'm sorry if I'm looking past Jim Schwartz's defense and seeing a high prolific offensive guy who actually what a passing game coordinator does is coordinates the plays. He tells the receivers where to go, how to do it. He tells them where to go. He tells Matt Stafford where the pass needs to be. He coordinates the passing game. Why would you not want that as a coach? The Browns desperately need help on offense. They were one of the worst passing offenses the last 2 years. Shieldhouse will help that. He will maximize every bit of that offense from passing. And Puka. Thank you, Greg. I was about to put that up there. He also helped develop Puka Nacua. So if you look at the Rams drafting ability as a whole, we talked about this Tuesday with the Jacksonville with Jimbo from the Men and Till podcast because they took a in office guy from LA and brought him to Jacksonville. He knows the inner beings of LA and how they can draft a late round guy and develop him to be Puka Nacua. And they've done it multiple times with other players, Cooper Kupp. Why would you not want a guy who was part of that in your organization? That's why I came on this podcast saying I'm excited. Actually, matter of fact, I'm more excited. I was a little worried that Pittsburgh would go for Shieldhouse because they interviewed him. But the fact they got Mike McCarthy pushes him over here to us a little bit more because no one else I don't think if we interviewed him would be interested or even interviewed him. I don't even think Buffalo is going to get Udinsky because I think they're going to go with Brady. They're going to get somebody more mature because, again, it goes back to what Barry said. Barry said that they want somebody who's on their timeline. We don't care what Jacksonville's doing. We don't care what Tennessee's doing. We're going to have somebody who's going to be on our timeline. And our timeline right now is our defense is great. You keep Jim Schwartz, offense needs help. So you get an offensive guy on offense. That's why I think Jim is their third option. Jim Schwartz is their third option. If they can't get these two guys, I think Jim is their third option. I think they keep Jim as a defensive coach. They probably put the assistant name on him, pay him more money to stay. And I think Jim is better off staying here because Jim is better off staying here for multiple reasons. His defense is already built. If he's to leave, he's not going to get another head coaching job. The only head coaching job that he had to interview with was Baltimore. That was one time. They did not call him back for a second interview, and that's it. So where is he going to go? Could another team pick him up? Sure. Let's say hypothetically, San Francisco needs a defensive guy because Salah left. He's going to have to redraft everybody to fit his defense again. That's why I think Jim is here. He's stuck here. I don't even want to use the word stuck. I think he wants to be here because he knows what he can do on defense. I really do. Greg says, I wonder if they told, hey, Jim, give me a year. If they fall on their face, it's all yours. I don't think I know Jimmy Haslam loves Jim Schwartz, and that is the worry. That's the feather in the cap for me, right? That if things go sideways, Jim Schwartz is the guy. But I think Jimmy liking somebody worries me more than Barry picking somebody. Because Jimmy is picking Schwartz out of just emotion. And we'll probably talk about this Tuesday on the Bearded Browns podcast, why I have paused to bring Jim Schwartz on full-time as a head coach. Just pause there. And I think a lot of us ignore the fact that the defense does have some issues that can hurt us. And we ignore it because our offense is so bad. KP says offer Jim Schwartz the assistant head coaching job in DC with the Rays. I totally agree. I think that's what they do. I think that's what you have to do. Also, modernized offense. The Browns desperately need an offense. They were one of the worst, and he would work developing receivers and coordinating a multifaceted passing attack that could be exactly what Cleveland needs. Man, I sound smart in my notes. That's what he can do. Maximize it. Maybe he can get the best out of Jerry Jeudy. Maybe he can get the best out of Bond. Maybe the fact that Jerry Judy's dropping balls is because he's not catching at the right percentage rate in which he should catch a ball. Maybe Shieldhouse can help with that. Maybe. I think Jerry Judy's done either way, but I'm just trying to be hopeful here, guys. I'm a hopeful Browns fan. Player development. Throughout the career, Shieldhouse has showed the ability to develop talent. At Iowa State in 2023, quarterback Rico Bench was named Big 12 offensive freshman of the year after clones improved from 20 points per game to 26 per game under Shieldhouse's leadership as offensive coordinator. He knows how to get the most out of young players. And that's what we have. That's what I mean by when Barry says we're going to get the best person that we have for the job. Offensively, your defense is set because Barry has built up that defense for years, which is why I said Barry should get some credit to why this offense is so horrible because he's ignored it. In large part is because they went after Watson and they couldn't put too much money in the offense because I think percentage-wise, they say we have this much on the offense, this much money on the defense, and we have to make it work. It's a budgeting system, right? And most of the budget went to Watson. So I think this year, they're done budgeting for the defense. They're cool. There's some pieces they need to get there, but they're cool. The budget now is all offense. And Barry's on record saying we're going to fix this offense. Greg says, I wonder once we have a productive offensive line, how good Junkins and Sanders will look because play action's going to set up a passing game and really find receivers, hopefully to benefit. I don't know if Shieldhouse runs a play action offense. I didn't look that deep. I'm going to have to look what type of offense he runs. But I don't think McVay's a play action guy. And by the way, Shador was a worse play action quarterback in the league last year. So that I don't think play action fits Shador. Okay? That's just look at the numbers. And I know we get a lot of ring because we look at PFF. PFF is good to tell you what the quarterback's good at. And one of them he is not good at is play action. One thing he is good at is screenplays. Best in the league. He was top 5 in the league as far as screenplays. The development, KB says the development of the wide receiver room was terrible. Chad O'Shea, he doesn't get enough hate. No, I got to write that down. KP, I got to write that down for Tuesday. You're 100% right. Chad O'Shea needed to go. If you notice, he was the only coordinator that stayed consistently throughout every regime. Why? I don't know. That is a valid point, KP. Shout out to you for bringing that up. Wow. 100%. I don't why is Chad O'Shea here? Where was I'm gonna be honest with you. I forget that Chad O'Shea was even here. I never questioned myself. The question never came to mind when I said, who's our wide receiver coach? That is a very, very valid take. I wonder who was responsible for keeping Chad O'Shea here for this whole time. And guess what? He's gone, but goes to Kansas City. Who needs help developing receivers? Bizarre. This is why, for some people that I'm about to get a little sensitive subject here, that talk about racism in the NFL. Like, you look at this and you go, well, is there a case? Like, why is Chad O'Shea getting another job and not another person outside of Chad O'Shea, whether white, black, or Puerto Rican, whatever? Weird that Chad O'Shea got another job. Lee says, get the best minds to get the offense going. The other team in our divisions are having issues defensively. That is exactly true. That is why Baltimore went with the defensive guy because they have a great quarterback. It's not forgotten about. It's forgotten about their defense struggle. Mike McCarthy, Pittsburgh feels like, hey, our defense is somewhat good. We need somebody on offense. Zach Taylor is trying to run an offense with a hurt offensive line and a horrible defense. It's crazy. Bubba is still. Yeah, Greg just reminded me. Bubba's still on the roster as special teams coach, but I'm going to anticipate that's going to change once they name a coach. Hopefully, hopefully, right? I mean, because and you guys are going to hate me when I say this. Outside of the uh, punting and kicking, the special team is good. And if you look at some rankings, they're ranked higher than they should because of Smitty. Smitty's ability to be consistent in that helped push that ranking up a little bit. But yeah, our special teams in the area of punt return and kick return, it needs massive help. Now there are some things that go against your house that I'm worried about because I'm a fair guy. I don't want to come in here with just wide eyes saying he's going to be great. He lacks experience. He's young. He's never coached before, even called plays by himself before. So there's some concerns. He's doing a massive leap from just a coordinator or a pass game coordinator. So there's a risk factor for that. Also, too, can the Browns afford another coaching mistake? I think the typical Browns fans say, "Why not?" Right? Because like, why not risk it? Because what's the worst case that can happen? You fire him and hire somebody else. I think Haslam has spent so much money on coaches just as much as quarterbacks. I think those are the two highest paid positions Jimmy's currently paying right now. And unfortunately for him, kind of feel bad. Kind of feel bad for him in a way. I feel bad. And the only reason why I feel bad is because I think Jimmy has a good heart. I think Jimmy wants to win. And I think he's doing everything in his power to bring a winner to Cleveland, especially before 2029 when that beautiful stadium is going to be built in Brook Park. I think all the pressure is pointing to that. And I'm hoping that this hire makes it right. I really am. I'm a hopeful, cautious, optimistic Browns fan. That's why I'm cautiously optimistic about Shador, even though was dead last in most of the ratings in the NFL last year. That could be because of the offensive line and lack of talent. Maybe Shieldhouse can get the best out of him or Udinsky. But we will see. And that is the benefit of being a Browns fan because every year we have next year. Every year there's next year. Also, I forgot to mention this stream is brought to you by Lego Heads Barber Saloon. That's Lego Heads Barber Saloon. The logo in the corner is the logo in which the barber saloon looks like. It's a beautiful barber saloon located in Berea, Ohio. Marlon is a great guy, great business owner. Owned it by himself, minority owned business in Berea, Ohio, who cuts hairs, beards, trims a mustache, makes you look fresh. Give him a follow on all the social media. And if you're in the Cleveland area and you need to get cleaned up, I encourage you to go out to Lego Heads Barber Saloon and get that fade, that lineup, that cleanup before you leave the area because he's one of the best. He's also community driven too. He has a food pantry out there reaching the locals of Berea who need food. So I love just go in there and support it just for that aspect of it, right? Somebody who's community driven, who loves their community. He gives discount haircuts to anyone that works in firefighters, cops, police officers, anyone that works in that type of field. Discount haircuts on Tuesdays. He also does a school drive before the beginning of the school year where he gives out free haircuts to school kids too. So I mean, he's community based, and I personally, as a Christian who believes in Christ Jesus as his personal savior, who thinks that everybody should be community driven, that's enticing. That pulls on my heartstrings, and that's why I have him as my only sponsor of the podcast. Now, it might change. Maybe I get another one, but I don't think I do these enough to to do another sponsor. But either way, Lego Heads Barber Saloon, give them a follow and get in there and get a haircut today. With that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. I hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed talking this out. And I hope I calmed some of you guys down. I hope that my fresh perspective, my positive mind, you guys can intake and tell all the other Browns fan friends, man, it's a tongue twister. Guys, you have nothing to worry about. This guy that runs a podcast says essays are normal. Personality tests should be done. We might just find a guy. Okay? Everybody, have a great weekend. And I pray that your power doesn't go out. And I pray that you didn't grab meat instead of water. Because if your power goes out, you're screwed. Nonetheless, guys, thank you so much. I'm humbled and honored that you guys talked with me for about an hour about these Browns. I totally was not going to go off the rail there, but you guys, being the great commenters you are on the feed, you helped encourage it. Let's trust the process. And hopefully by Tuesday, 7:30, the Bearded Browns podcast will be talking about who the Browns' new head coach is. If not, we're not going to hit the panic button. We're just going to try our best to keep the content moving. Appreciate you guys. Until next time, like always, go Browns.